So today we're going to be looking at The Day Before, a game that came out on the 7th of December. Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now today we're going to be looking at The Day Before, a game that surprised loads of people, and one for me that I couldn't believe what I'd got myself into, and no wonder why lots of people were saying it was a scam. So firstly, I want to explain my feelings and thoughts throughout the process of playing this game, and just before we kind of get into the more nitty-gritty part of the news that's been creeping around the development team and the overall game itself. So when I bought the game, it was £33. I thought it was brilliant, you know. A price like that, it's standard game price, right? But as we know, the game has been delayed for two times in a period of a year or two, and obviously there was a lot of expectations to be filled here. It wasn't just a normal zombie game. It was looking to be very, very like IMO, sort of open world, and that's what it came across as, seeing the marketing of this game. And essentially, when I bought this game for £33, I went in. The download process wasn't too bad. I got in and I realized how many servers was already filled up, and it was crazy because obviously there was high populated areas or high populated servers, and then there was low populated servers. For me personally, I went for the high populated servers because as I went for the low ones, I couldn't get in any of them because there was an error message. So that was one of the reasons which was kind of discouraging people, because as you go into the high populated areas, you're having to wait for such long times compared to the low ones. So you were getting error messages for joining low servers with not many players, and then for the high populated servers, you were getting long loading times, and that was just so discouraging because I remember going into different servers about 2 or 3 times, and it took about at least 20 minutes before I actually got to an actual server that could let me in and actually play the game physically for the first time. So that was one issue that I found straight away when going into the game. I got in, and there's a cutscene that everyone sees. It's an old man. He's sort of just like, I don't know if he's shining a light in your face or not, but he's doing something, and you kind of wake up and you're in this like room, right? He says he's brought you in from the injuries that you got or you sustained in the outside world, and then you get brought in and you sort of have to like learn everything around your environment. He tells you to go to different people, and you sort of get welcomed to all these different people, and it's a good start. It's a really good start to a game, right? And essentially it gave me a lot of nostalgia, seeing the lights, seeing the graphics. It looked really, really good, and that's one positive thing I can say, that the graphics looked really good. I think they really focused more on the graphics than anything else in general, and that's just really bad but really good in some ways. Because as we know, if I was to say to compare this to a Ubisoft game, oh my god, the graphics would outstand it. But generally, when I went into it, the physics of the game was just horrific in terms of The Day Before. Like, after welcoming everyone, after seeing all these different types of characters in the game, going out into the open world, it was so confusing because I didn't know what my objectives were, except the fact that I got told on this like little chart which has missions on it. So essentially I'm going there looking around, and I can hear various things like alarms.
This is like legit insane. Like, I thought The Walking Dead Destinies was bad, but I actually finished it and I had a pretty fun time making the videos. This just feels like a nightmare kind of. I'm usually a positive person, but oh man, I had high hopes for this game. I really did.
Players moving, not many zombies whatsoever, and that's another thing. There was just not many zombies whatsoever. I think there was like 2 per 10 blocks or something, and that's quite horrific for a zombie survival game. It's horrific. And the 2 zombies aren't even different. Like, there's like maybe 2 types of zombies. You haven't got any zombies that are huge or like anything special to them. They're all just standard zombies, and it's so boring because when you're walking around, it's meant to be zombie survival. I'd rather have like 10 to 15 chasing me, instead of just one, which is just like doesn't give you that zombie feeling. And going around, yes, there's loot and stuff, but that loot becomes so high risk for you because essentially you lose all your stuff if you die. And that's not even any exaggeration. You would lose all your stuff if you die. And I went around, I walked around, and I remember getting killed by a player, and when I got killed, that was towards the end of my mission objective to leave the map. There's only like 1 or 2 exits to leave the map to go back into the original place that you start at the start of the game. So it's a bit confusing without actually having to show you. So I am going to be showing you throughout the video what I'm talking about. But essentially, when you do the missions, you have to exit the map through the icons that show you, right? And some players like to camp, some players like to sort of be around those areas because they know other players are going towards it. And I think this is so stupid because it doesn't, it's harder for you to try and get your missions done. There's no actual fun out of it having players camp. And I understand that even developers said that the players would maybe camp near these areas, but that should be then ringing some bells, being like, okay, well, we've got new players. This is discouraging, especially because when you're walking towards your mission objective or your location that you need to get to, and you've got players camping at the same place, it becomes demotivating. So there needed to be something around that had to be solved. But anyhow, as the game goes on, I played through it. I thought it was tense, some parts of it, mostly because of players. I felt like some locations where I was going towards, players were generally making me feel a bit tense because I was like, oh my god, if I'm going to get killed, I'm losing all my stuff. On the other part of losing all your stuff, there was a sort of mechanism that you could do, this like sort of option where it explicitly says as well in the start of the game, when you're welcome to all these different areas in this like building or the settlement, one of the rooms is a storage room. Now this storage room commonly had a lot of glitches. So as you go up to the person that's sort of in charge of the area or in charge of the storage room, you can put your stuff, your items that you find outside of the world, or outside of the building. When you've gone on your adventure or whatever, you come back in and you want to store it because obviously you know that if you keep it with you, you might potentially lose it if you die. So as me, I got some good stuff, some good loot, and I went back in and put my guns and stuff that I liked to keep safe in the storage room. And as I put it in, I leave and I go back in to put something else, and guess what? I lost everything. So it looks like when I typed it up on Google, that I just typed in like storage room glitch or whatever, it came up with the fact that when you put your stuff in the storage room, you lose everything. And that's a glitch that apparently the developers were solving. So as me, I was very annoyed and frustrated because I spent, quite some time trying to get some loot. Even if it was half an hour, it was half an hour of my time trying to get some loot, and then it's just gone out of the window. And something like this has to be managed by developers. Developers have got to know that this is something that's not going to work. And essentially, as someone that went out collecting it and then bringing it about, again, it was just discouraging and demotivating, right? Apparently, the way to fix it at that moment was temporarily putting your stuff either in your own inventory, so what you've got already on your bag, and just keep it in there, and then if you lose it, you lose it, or generally selling it. That's not fixing it whatsoever. That's just, it's not even solving it. It's just none of those options. It's literally just, okay, here's two dumb things to do in case you don't, just so that we can fix this glitch that's happening in the storage room. Here's two unsolvable things. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, why suggest that? You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna want to do it. You're just giving me two other options that I would not choose anyways. That's the point. So yeah, as I say, it was horrific. The whole experience was horrific. The physics of the game was awful. Running around and not being able to jump over anything or even jump in general is horrible. I couldn't even jump over a simple fence, nor could I even jump over a step, because that's how awful the game's physics were. They focused more on the graphics than they focused on anything else in general. And then, obviously it comes to the sound as well. The sound was horrible. Generally, when you link your sound to your surroundings and you're walking around, it needs to link, okay? It needs to link.
Same thing. Okay. All right, well, maybe there's money in the register. Let me double check. That alarm is very loud. Oh, that's on the other side. Nothing? Okay. Yeah, if I was going to play this game more, I would probably put everything I have in storage and just run around and not fight anything. Here's how they get you. Look at this. First off, that alarm is like still loud. Is it me or is it like not going away?
So as I say, it has to link to your surroundings, right? As someone that goes around and hears that alarm, I'm hearing it 10 blocks away. And it's like, why? Why include an option like that? The alarm, yes, has its purpose. If you go in a building, you're trying to get a safe or some items, some valuable items, and you trip the alarm, that's okay. It's an okay option. It suits the whole theme in general, and it makes you feel a bit tense and keeps you on the edge because you're feeling like players might hear it, zombies might hear it, etc. The zombies, when you're near them as well, it takes a while before they realize you're there in terms of your presence. For me particularly, I just like walked past a zombie and it just didn't do anything until I was actually started to like get right in front of it, and then it like sort of activated itself and was like, oh god, a player I must kill. You know what I mean? Like it was just like it didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, it was one of those things where I didn't enjoy it. So we now go to the issues overall about the game and the recent updates on it. So, as I've already highlighted a lot of the things already that was wrong with this game, the other thing was that the developers were volunteers. As what was stated and sort of rumoured was that the developers weren't actually being paid completely. They was just there to sort of free roam it, and this is the issue that they had, that this whole development team has completely been wobbly and generally haven't produced anything effective. They've constantly misled the public, misled people into believing this game was going to be good the day before, and generally it looked fantastic. Quite ironic because the game company is called Fantastic or whatever, and generally it did seem like a decent produced game through the adverts. But then as it came out, everyone was shocked because of how shite it was. And generally, this company, as I say, had volunteer developers. And that's just wrong in every proportion. You need to hire them, employ them right, tell them what needs to be done right, tell them how the plan's going to be for your next year or two, keep that structure in place, hierarchy, get people in lead, get people that that will take these responsibilities more strictly and professionally, but they won't. And this is the problem, is it's like some 17-year-olds that just think they can do some game like this, and I'm not saying they're 17 years old, obviously they're probably maybe way older than that, but in a spectrum, hypothetically speaking, like, this is awful, the fact that they've got volunteers and not actual people that are employed. So no wonder why they're not going to be that motivated to do a well-produced game. And I'm surprised that even after all of this advertising and all the delays to this game, that they actually managed to get something out there. That's how shocking it is. So On top of that, with the news that's just came out a couple of days ago, the game is completely shutting down, and I mean the servers as well. They just said only over 2 weeks ago that the game was only shutting down, but it was the game company, and that they weren't going to do any further development on the game, but that the servers would keep revived. And now we've heard that the whole servers are shutting down in January, and it just shows how awful, how this game has gone downhill in the company itself. So generally, I am not in any proportion surprised of how they've taken this. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves, and something like this never needs to be produced again. Be careful of what you buy. Obviously, I know that even when a lot of people buy it, they may review it badly, they may not understand what's going on in a game, it might not meet their expectations. That's fine. I know that games that come out first, like Watch Dogs 1 was brilliant, and then people didn't like Watch Dogs 2. But I did, and I know many other people did, but it just depends on your preference and what you like. But a game like The Day Before, where it's heavily marketed, be aware, just make sure to keep on your tiptoes, and just sort of do not pre-order any games that you know that aren't from big companies like Ubisoft or Rockstar, because you know that Ubisoft and Rockstar will at least produce a good, decent game that you can play physically. And yeah, there'll always be issues with the game, that's fine. We're not saying for it to be absolutely perfect 100%, but what we are saying is at least meet your expectations for a game that you're sort of advertising and producing through through YouTube, Twitter, etc. It was so funny to know that The Day Before, and this is so ironic, the name of it, but literally a day or two before the actual tweet came out about them shutting down, they also made another tweet on Twitter saying how they were going to fulfill the needs of everyone, that they were going to get out all the updates, every so often or whatever. And then after a few moments, they went, "We're shutting down." So it's like, why? But yeah, it is an awful game. Do not buy it. I wouldn't recommend it. And it's shutting down anyways. You won't be able to buy it. Steam is refunding, as I believe, people, and they refunded me literally in like less than an hour. So yeah, just be aware. But thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this all goes well, this whole video in general, when I go into editing for this. But we will be doing some more serious videos on other games that have come out, and we'll be showcasing a little bit more the footage of the game and things like that. So thank you all so much for watching. Do be sure to support the channel out however you feel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.